Hey, you guys, welcome again, as always, to another video. And thank you so much for clicking in, and really do appreciate you guys taking the time to journey with us in another video. And so glad that you came in, and make sure you make yourself at home, find yourself a seat, get you something to drink, eat, or whatever. And this video shouldn't take too long, but we're going to, in this video, I think the best way to start this is, when you find out something, or when you just realize something and you realize, what in the world was I even thinking? Like, what comes to your mind? Let me see. If I had a sound effect, it would be like, hee haw, the jackass sound, right? I think this is one of those, if you've been following us on this platform, we've been taking a closer look at various things that are in the Bible, and as I've been saying, we as a people have been taught and trained, and even taught and trained ourselves to simply repeat things and not really look at it, investigate it, or step outside of ourselves and actually look at it and listen to what we're actually saying. And for some of you, you're going to come out on the other side of this video, and you'll probably will still be in the same place. But there's some of you, I think you're going to be like me, like, what in the world was I even thinking? Was I smoking? Was I? You under a delusion. And this video here, I think, is going to be one of those that's going to be like, what in the world, right? Okay, so today we are going to look at the story of Jonah. Okay, now this is one of the many books in the Bible. Jonah is one of them. I believe even in the New Testament, Jonah is referred, is mentioned, for some of you who recall, this great eclipse that we just had. And, everybody was making this big deal about how the eclipse, the path that is on, is touching all of these towns named Nineveh. And they were saying this is a prophetic thing and all of that stuff, right? And, that's what people were saying, because it just kind of aligned with what they wanted to see and believe. So anyway, I think the best way to start this, let's just jump in. Okay, how about we do this? We're going to actually we're going to go to Jonah chapter 2. All right. Now, this is when, after he was cast off of the boat. All right. And then, the rest, the big fish came, right? And so this passage is like known as the prayer of Jonah. All right. So what we're going to do is going to read that. And then we're going to step back a little bit, because what we've been doing, again, you read the Bible, but you also, it's very important for you to look at the history, what influenced the Bible, because many of us believe that the Bible fell out of the sky. There was no other influences except God himself, and that's it. There was no other influences, nothing at all. Oh, no way in the world the Bible would have plagiarized anything. There's no way, or even copied or anything. There's no way that would have happened. Well, you're going to see in yet another example, if you looked at the other videos, we've been providing other examples too of different ancient influences that predate the Bible. And you're going to see in this story too. All right. So let's go ahead and bring this up. We're going to go to Jonah chapter 2. All right, and we'll just read the whole thing since it's short, and I'll try to make it as big as I can for you there, but you can go to it yourself. This is Jonah chapter 2. Let's read it. King James Version. It says, "Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly, and said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell I cried, and thou hearest my voice. For thou hast cast me into the deep, into the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about. All thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Then I said, I am cast out of thy sight. Yet I will look again towards thy holy temple. The waters compassed about me, even to the soul. The depth closed me round about. The weeds were wrapped around about my head. I went down to the bottoms of the mountains. The earth with her bars was about me forever. Yet hast thou brought up my life from corruption, O Lord my God. When my soul fainteth within me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came in unto thee, into thine holy temple. They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy, but I will sacrifice unto thee with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay that I have vowed. Salvation is of the Lord. And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon dry land. So that's the prayer when Jonah was in the belly of the whale. This is, he was able to voice this, this whole prayer, very eloquently, I might add, to the Lord. And he was able to communicate all of that while he's being, tossed and all of that inside the whale. There's a video that I would love to play for you, but I don't think I'm going to even chance it because it will, they will probably flag it and say it's copyright and all that stuff, right? So I'm not going to play it, but what I will do is I will show you parts of it. I'll just freeze frame it and just show you parts of it. Okay. Now this is a video that I actually came across on YouTube, and it's on the channel How to Survive, and it says how to survive getting swallowed by a whale. Now the video starts off by giving an example, something that happened fairly recently, not too long ago, I guess. It was during the time when this video was filmed or put together, and they talk about a man who was actually swallowed by a whale, but they said he was just in and out. In other words, he went in the mouth and the whale just immediately spat him out. Okay. And so, but that's the only thing that we have on record, of a human being actually being swallowed by a whale and survived. Right. So anyway, if you were to listen to this video, like I said, I really, really wish I could play it because it'll make it so much easier. They talk about what a person would have to do, what they would encounter if in fact they were swallowed by a whale. Okay. So it tells you here, they said, if you find yourself swallowed by a whale, and first of all, another thing too, worth mentioning, they said the only whale that would be able and will have the space to consume an entire human being whole would be a sperm whale. Okay, there's other whales too that are fairly large, but you got to also keep in mind the esophagus and all of that, the size of the esophagus. And that's what they were talking about in this video. So it would have to be a whale sizable enough to be able to accommodate that. And what they're saying is it would be the sperm whale. All right. And so anyway, they said, if you find yourself in a sperm whale, what you would need to do is you need to do what this lady is doing right here. She's demonstrating right here. I'm trying to play it without playing it. They're saying, they said, bring your arms and legs into your body and lower your chin to your chest. You need to curl up into the tightest ball you can. This will minimize your body's surface area and decrease the chances you'll get chomped up by the whale's teeth. Because a lot of times people you don't think the whales got teeth. Yeah, they got teeth. All right. So they said sperm whales have 18 to 26 teeth. Sperm, okay, on each side of their jaw. So this is what the teeth looks like. So Jonah would have had to pass through all of this if he was swallowed by this whale. And even if he did curl into a ball, he would still have to pass through all of these teeth. And that's what they were talking about in there. Okay. So, we're just talking realistic now. Okay. And then and they said, like they said here, they said a lot easier than said than done. Um, Another thing they say, you go in there, they said another thing you're going to have to deal with is the digestive, the juices, if you will, inside the inside this whale. And whales of that a sperm whale has 3 stomachs, not 1 but 3. All right, so all that stomach acid, okay, the key word there is acid. Okay, now the passage that we just read, it said that he was in the belly of the whale. All right, so the largest whale that we know of this time is the sperm whale that could accommodate that. And except here's the thing, sperm whale has 3 bellies. Okay, and like I said again, there are other whales out there. However, the esophagus is too small it would choke on that, because it's like, the human being is too big for that, right? So here's Jonah. Let's just assume he curled up in a ball. Okay, so Jonah is underwater. They threw him in the ocean, right? So he's underwater. Here comes this whale, opens its mouth. Now, mind you, this whale is opening up its mouth, and it's taking in all of this water. So there's no oxygen in there. Okay, it's all water. So this whale just opens up its mouth underwater, and he sucks in Jonah. All right, so that's what the Bible is saying happened. So there's no oxygen in there. So I keep wanting to say Moses. So Jonah is underwater, and he's contained inside this whale. All right, but he had to get past the teeth, and he had to curl himself in a ball and all that. And even if he passed all of that, he still somehow manages to be alive. Now he has to survive 3, not 1, but 3 stomachs full of digestive acid. Okay. All right. Well, let's continue. All right. And they said, because you will get burned. All right. And then they say you can try to grab onto the walls of the esophagus, but that will be very difficult because it's covered by mucus. All right. And, and they said, and they're saying, like, any human being that makes contact with that stomach acid, you would need some kind of suit like this, because you just get burned up. All right. And so, yeah, so that's pretty much there what would happen if a human was consumed by a sperm whale, and they just went through all of that. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of go through that if you've never taken the time to think, because see, a lot of times I think I know for me, when I think, and I'm going to pull something up here. Let's see. I'm gonna pull something up here. A lot of times when we think of Jonah being inside the whale, I think for many of us, this is what comes to mind as soon as I can get a good example up here. Let me see if I can find a great example here. Let's see. I guess I'll go with this. This is probably about as good as any. We think of like I found one, but I'm trying to find one that's big enough. Okay, here's one. Here's one. This is good enough. All right, let me just see if I can. I was just gonna bring it up, but I'm gonna do something else here. Hold on. All right, here we go. Get that together, and desktop. Okay, so I think a lot of times, I think what we envision is Jonah being in a situation like this. That's what we envision. Okay. This is a screenshot from Pinocchio. You remember Pinocchio's, his maker was inside, has somehow ended up inside a whale. And, here he's got his desk out. He's got a candle. He's got a whole little setup. He's got a little mini office. Okay. So I think this is what we envision what it looks like inside the whale. But no, that's not. But I'm being funny, but I'm very serious. I think that's what I'm going to be honest. I think for me, anytime when I would envision Jonah being inside the whale, this is what I would come to mind. I'm going to be honest with you. But no, that's not what it's like at all. Okay. And so anyway, so let's see. So we covered the scripture. We went through the video, just kind of showing you what really happens if someone did go inside of a whale. But wait, there's more. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at, here's another example. It's a very strong case. I mean, it's too strong of a case to kind of ignore this. Okay. And for some of you, I'm sure you have heard of this thing called the Epic of Gilgamesh. All right. And if you haven't heard of it, we're going to learn a little bit about it. And then we're going to explain as to why I'm talking about this. Keep in mind the date that you see right there, 2100 BCE. All right. And the book of Jonah, and I forgot to add that. Let's see. I'll put this up here. You catching me in real time here. All right. So this just came up. This is in the Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica. All right. So I'm going to bring this up here. So what they're estimating, just quick search, like, anybody can do this. What they're estimating is that the book of Jonah was written in around 4th century BCE. All right. About 5th or 4th century BCE. Okay. Now the book of the Epic of Gilgamesh, on the other hand, it was written a lot longer than, older than that, a lot older than that. Okay. So we're going to go back here and we're going to talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh. So let's go ahead and get to it real quick here. Let me just read to you. This is like a brief overview so that you can understand what it is. And then we're going to get to the meat. Okay. All right. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the oldest known works of literature originating from ancient Mesopotamia. It is an epic poem that tells the story of Gilgamesh, the historical king of the Sumerian city of Uruk, who is believed to have reigned around 2700 BCE. The narrative itself, however, is thought to have been composed and compiled over centuries, with the earliest surviving versions dating back to approximately 2100 BCE during the Old Babylonian period. The most complete version we have today was written in the standard Akkadian language and dates to the first millennium BCE, specifically around the 7th century BCE, under the Assyrian king of Ashurbanipal. Okay. The overview, here's the overview of it. The epic centers on the adventures of Gilgamesh and his companion Enkidu, exploring themes of heroism, friendship, and quest for fame, and the pursuit of eternal life. Sorry. The narrative can be divided into several key episodes. First one, introduction and creation of Enkidu. Gilgamesh is introduced as a tyrannical king, prompting the gods to create Enkidu, a wild man, to challenge him. Gilgamesh and Enkidu fight, but eventually become close friends. The second one, adventures. Together they undertake dangerous quests that convey their growing bond. The first major adventure involves defeating the monster Humbaba, the guardian of the cedar forest. And then number three, the death of Enkidu, after they kill the bull of heaven. Remember what we talked about in the previous video. Who's the bull of heaven? Baal or Baal, sent by the goddess Ishtar as punishment for rejecting her advances. The gods decree that Enkidu must die. His death profoundly affects Gilgamesh, prompting a quest for immortality. All right. And then let's go to 4 and 5. Let's see. Search for immortality. Distraught over Enkidu's death and fearing his own, Gilgamesh seeks, I'm not going to even try to say that, the survivor of the great flood, because the Epic of Gilgamesh also has a whole account of the flood. And when you read it, it is too close. I mean, you cannot, there's nowhere in the world that the biblical account of the great flood did not pull from this. There's no way when you read it. Okay. Through this journey, he learns about inevitability of death. Number 5, the return and conclusion. Gilgamesh ultimately returns to Uruk, accepting his mortality. The epic concludes with Gilgamesh realizing that his true legacy is the city of Uruk and his accomplishments, not his quest for eternal life. And then place and date of origin. The story is set in around the city of Uruk in the southern part of Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq. As mentioned, while the historical Gilgamesh might have lived around 2700 BCE, the literary composition spans several centuries, with the oldest fragments from around 2100 BCE and the most complete version around 7th century BCE. The Epic of Gilgamesh is not only a critical piece of ancient literature, but also offers valuable insights into the culture, religion, and mythology of ancient Mesopotamia. Okay, so you got the backdrop of what the Epic of Gilgamesh basically is. I just wanted to give you that overview. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to look at a summary of the part of the Epic of Gilgamesh that is going to sound very familiar. Okay, so now without further ado, let's get to that part. Okay, all right, so here we go. So this is the summary. All right, Gilgamesh is in the Epic of Gilgamesh. There's a part of the story where he is actually thrown overboard and swallowed by a great fish. Okay, remember now, this predates by centuries the Jonah narrative. Okay, so let's go. Gilgamesh was undertaking an epic journey by sea with his friend Urshanabi, who was guiding a ship of brave sailors. As they voyaged across the waters, they encountered a mighty storm sent by the gods. The winds howled and great waves battered their ship. In the midst of the tempest, Gilgamesh was swept overboard by the crashing waves. Despite his extraordinary strength, Gilgamesh could not overcome the powerful currents and found himself being pulled down into the depths of the sea. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, an immense sea monster appeared. Its gaping maw opened to swallow Gilgamesh whole. The creature was described as a great fish or serpent-like beast of the deep. Gilgamesh found himself trapped alive inside the belly of this colossal beast for 3 days and nights. Let me read that part again. For 3 days and nights. How long was Jonah in the belly of the whale, according to the biblical narrative? 3 days and nights. Okay. He remained imprisoned in its gut, undoubtedly fearing he would never escape the scaly prison alive. But on the 3rd day, by the will of the gods, the monster was able to make it to the surface and vomit Gilgamesh back out upon the shores. Miraculously unharmed, the mighty hero lived to continue his quest, emerging from the very belly of the beast against all odds. All right, and then it goes on from there. Now, I'm just going to sit here and look at you for a second now. There is no way you can read the book of Jonah and then you go back and read that story that I just read to you that was written centuries before Jonah. There is no way you can say that Jonah was a self-contained story and there was no influences at all from the Epic of Gilgamesh. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, there's absolutely no way. I mean, in the belly of the whale, same amount of time, them encountering the whole, he's on this boat with a bunch of other sailors, and then he gets pushed, the waves, I guess, was too much, and it says that he fell off, I guess, and then went into the ocean where this great fish came and swallowed him up, and then he's in there for 3 days come on, man. And then the whale vomits him up, finds some dry land and vomits him up. That is literally the story of Jonah. I mean, come on. And so once I saw this, now there's another story that I thought, I was reading through some of this stuff here, some other stuff, and before I was going to do this video, I was thinking they actually pulled from another story. You know what story I was thinking of? It's the Adventures of Sinbad. Sinbad, yes, Sinbad. That Sinbad. That was written. I actually had that up here. The story of Sinbad, that was written. Of course, now I can't find it. Hold on. That I want to say it was not too far. It's probably the closest you're going to get to when the book of Jonah was written. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me right now. Let me see. All right, let's see here. Maybe I have it here. No, I don't. All right, let me look again here. Let me look. Let's see. I'm just refreshing here. Okay, of course I can't find it right now. But basically, yeah. It was when that story was written. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. That story was written. Sorry, y'all, it's taking me this long here. Hold on. Yeah, it was actually the 1001 Nights. And that was, come on now. I'll just say this because I don't have it in front of me right now. I thought I had it here. But basically, it was written very close to when the book of Jonah was written. We'll just rest on that. It ain't gonna make any difference here or there anyway. But those little details. Sometimes I get kind of stuck on those. Want to make sure I'm giving y'all as much as I can. But yeah, that's when that story was written. Okay. But I realized, I kept digging a little bit, and I realized, oh no, it actually goes much further than that. Both stories clearly were pulling from the Epic of Gilgamesh. Back to the Sinbad story. Sinbad, there's an account in the earliest stories of Sinbad where likewise he falls off a boat and he's swallowed by a great fish as well. But that didn't, the stories of Sinbad started around, I want to say it was like the 9th century or something like that. It started around there, and then there's like this break almost, and then starting like in the 17th century or whatever, they start adding more and more stories to, the stories of Sinbad, So that's just a little extra, I just wanted to add there too. I thought it was a little neat little factoid there about that. But so there you go, family. I mean, there's really not much more I can say here, and I can't stress enough the importance. Hopefully this will prompt you again, that we really have to take a closer look at what we are saying is historical, factual truth. There's nothing wrong with reading these stories and getting inspiration from them. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? That's why I tell people, you don't throw out stuff that has helped you. There's a lot of literary work that's out there that's been beneficial and helpful to many people. But for us, when it comes to the Bible, they have trained us and have taught us extremely well to see this as true history. But family, I just went through the basics. There's no way that a human being is going to survive that long in a whale. And my wife said something, and I'm closing off with this. She said, and I was sharing this with her. She said, there are people out there, though, even if, she said, you have to see yourself, through some of these people who are still in that world and religion like we once were. It's like you hear what I'm just presented to you, but when you're that deep in the world of religion, it's anything like that when someone's saying, hold up, how is that even possible? You just chalk it up as, well, it was just a miracle. That's just it. It was just a miracle. So if it's a miracle, it must be true. You know what I'm saying? But there's no just like we today question people who make claims about miracles, like the Benny Hinn's and all these other people that say that they laying hands on people and they're raising up out of wheelchairs and stuff like that, and then you find out it really didn't happen. Well, it's what I'm challenging you today is, don't stop with the Benny Hinn's. You need to start looking at this book we call the Bible, that we say that was the absolute truth. Everything in it that's stated in it happened 100%. Because I'm telling you, as you start digging in, as we just did just now, you're going to be scratching your head quite a bit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, this story here, this Jonah story was one that just kind of popped up, and I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, what in the world? You know what I mean? No, absolutely not. So anyway, I don't even want to prolong this any longer. I hope that you got something out of this. Most importantly, I hope it's something that encourages you to take a closer look at the Bible. Take a closer look and compare it to actual factual history. And by doing that, you're going to learn a whole great deal more. You are. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.